Welcome to Mirror TV. Fall is in the air. You can smell the football. I'm Neil Rudel, joined by Michael Boytim for week number 1 of the high school football season. Mike, welcome.
Nice to be here, Neil.
A lot of good games, rivalry games in week number 1. Let's start with the renewal of Altoona and Hollidaysburg. It's been a while.
Yeah, they haven't played since 2011, and how great is it to see these two teams getting back at it? Because, I mean, these are the type of games that these kids will talk to their kids about when they're getting ready to play Altoona and Hollidaysburg, and it's just so nice to see it back on the schedule after Altoona finally is out of the WPIAL, back in the mid-pen, which allows for the opening week to play a rivalry game like they're taking advantage of this week.
Yeah, since 2011, they have not met. That missed my son's senior year, although they got to scrimmage Altoona. My son played for Hollidaysburg, and I used to kid him. I said, there's really no run-through sign at a scrimmage, but it means a lot to the kids. And Altoona in the mid-pen, Hollidaysburg is an independent. I got to give Homer Delatre credit. I wasn't sure would they be able to put together a decent independent schedule, and they seem like they've, kind of come full circle with a lot of familiar opponents.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that it is available because of the Mountain League schedule being flexible. They're able to play Tyrone, Central, get those games against, quality programs locally, and that's going to bring interest to those games because the Mountain League obviously doesn't have enough teams to fill out a 10-game schedule, so they're able to get those games, and I think that those are going to have a lot of local interest.
Hollidaysburg only does have 4 home games, but this game's at Mansion Park, so plenty of perfect opportunity anyway. And I saw that they moved Central to the end of the season, which I'll be curious, what kind of tradition. That's always a big game for Central in particular, and hopefully Central will have a good season and the game will be meaningful at the end. It's usually been played earlier in the season. Do you have a feel for how this game will shape up?
It's Hollidaysburg has a lot of talent returning from the team that won the district title last year.
District 5A.
District
5A.
They won the championship, and Brady Walters coming back, quarterback. Gus Dellinger is going to be a really good player for them. And I just can't wait to see how Gage Hill looks for Altoona because Mirror Sports editor Buck Frank was at Meet the Lions night. He saw Gage Hill come out. He said, "You just can't believe how big this guy is." So he'll be on the offensive and defensive line for Altoona. Should be interesting to see what kind of year he can put together.
Yeah, he's gotten interest. I saw on Twitter at one point where he, I think, committed to Toledo, but he's still getting interest. He got an offer from Rutgers, so he may be able to play himself into, a good scholarship.
Yep, and big parade they're having too for Altoona and Hollidaysburg. Both teams' bands are going to be involved, and a lot of excitement.
Is Phil Riccio the grand marshal for that? Did you find that out?
That
would be breaking news.
Yeah.
Bellwood Tyrone. Kind of a backyard brawl, great history, has not been interrupted like unfortunately Altoona and Hollidaysburg has. How do you see it? And it's the debut of Nick Loveridge.
Yes, and that's one of the nice things with our Fearless Forecast that's in today's newspaper. Those are 2 of the most split games, Tyrone Bellwood, Altoona Hollidaysburg. It's nice to see even matchups. Last year it went down to an overtime play. Bellwood won 13-10 in overtime. And, Nick Loveridge's first game, I was talking, there's going to be a story in our paper coming up, but with Nick Loveridge and Jason Wilson both being relatively young coaches, you could have the beginnings of another John Franco, John Hayes, long rivalry. These guys could be matching up for years to come.
Yeah, and Nick Loveridge really was, weaned by John Hayes. This is the first year that we'll start a football season without John Hayes as a head coach. So, we wish John well. What a tremendous career. I think he's the 10th winningest coach in PIAA history. So Nick's got big shoes to fill, but it seems like he's been groomed for that for quite a while.
Yeah, it's 20 years as an assistant, and Coach Hayes has told me that he's planning on being at the game on Friday. So should be exciting for him to get a chance to watch it from the stands.
Central and Northern Bedford, kind of unique. They haven't played since 1972. We're talking about, 46 years ago. And they used to share the same field, so there's kind of an angle there.
Yeah, that's pretty neat circumstance, and with them playing each other, Northern Bedford's coming off a year that they really surprised a lot of people. They beat Winburn for the District 5 title, and Central is always strong. They had a nice run, and both teams have talent coming back, and it should be a really nice game.
Expanding out, we have such a wide area that the Mirror covers. Hopefully, a little house out here. Hopefully, you've seen our Blitz magazine. Terrific effort by the sports staff, and appreciate Pat Waxmunski, who's behind the glass doing our taping here. It's a team effort, kind of all hands on deck. And then today, our 64-page traditional preview section with 30 schools came out, all the Letterman schedules, probable starting lineups, and whatnot. Forest Hills and Ridge. That's kind of two successful programs. The dean of high school coaches in Don Bailey at Forest Hills.
Yeah, and the last time that Chestnut Ridge was in the Laurel Highlands, Don Bailey is the only coach that's still in the league from then. So it's kind of funny that they match up in the first week. But Coach Shoemaker, I talked to him at the media day, and he knows Laurel Highlands is a really strong conference, and he's really hoping they can make a splash their first year.
Yeah, kind of cool with Don Bailey. I mean, what a great story. I mean, you look at him, he was the football coach, and then the athletic director and the principal and I think assistant superintendent. Then he became the superintendent. So he has had a great run at Forest Hills in being able to maintain his passion with football. And his son, Brandon, I guess probably people at one time thought maybe he'd succeed on Bailey. He's already at Richland for 17 years.
Yeah, and Richland actually received some votes this year as a possible candidate to win Laurel Highlands. They were a very improved program for this year. So.
What other games in the region have caught your eye this weekend?
The one thing you have to feel for Bishop Carroll. They are out of the Laurel Highlands, and now their first game was scheduled to be against St. Joe's, who canceled their football program, so they had to fill in with East Hardy. It's a nearly 3-hour trip to East Hardy.
What state is
in
that?
West Virginia. They have to go to West Virginia, and this is a road that Chestnut Ridge is familiar with. They've been an independent, and they've had to play a lot of these games, but as they were doing that, Chestnut Ridge really built their program, and they've been strong over the past few years. So this could be something that benefits them. But East Hardy looked into them a little bit. They went 12-2 last year, and they were the 20th ranked team in the whole state of West Virginia in any classification. So it'll be a rough game, I think, for Carroll.
And unfortunate circumstances in the Laurel Highlands with Carroll kind of being evicted from the league. And I know there's some frayed, hard feelings up there, but you're talking about kids, and for kids to have to be penalized, it's a shame. Another game you wanted to mention, a milestone.
Yeah, Gary Klingensmith at Juniata. It's a little bit out of our area, Mifflin town there. I mean, he's had a lot of success there, and he's coming into his 50th season coaching against, they're hosting West Perry this week. I just think that's an incredible milestone in high school football, especially with how much success he's had at Juniata. My wife lived up there for a little bit, and it's a very small town. So to be able to have the kind of success they've had up there is pretty impressive.
Oh, yeah, and what he's overcome. I mean, Gary Klingensmith is deaf, and so there's been a whole set of circumstances that he, in terms of lip reading and being able to exist as a leader and thrive. And he played for Joe Paterno at Penn State. So that's I'm glad you mentioned Gary. I'm sure he's somebody that everybody's looked up to. Okay, our debut Michael Boytim, week number 1 of the high school football preview show here on AltoonaMirror.com. I'm Neil Rudel, and we will see you next week.